All right. In 1997 was the year when the internet in Germany became widely available. And at that time, me being still in my teenage years, I was still very, very sure. I think it's nicely summed up in a very popular IBM video at that time, where two gentlemen sit in an office and one says, "It says here in the newspaper, the internet is the future of the business. We have to be on the internet." And his friend just asked why. And the answer was, it doesn't say. So I had a similar conversation with my parents, and they were also quite sure, look, we don't think you need the internet right now. Because my reason was, I just wanted to write an email to my friend next door. So now, I think this conversation was summed up by Dr. Amara, a future researcher, saying, we tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in the short run and underestimate the effect in the long run. And I believe the very same thing happens right now with 5G. So at that time, in 1997, both my parents and I were right. Today we know why we have to be on the internet, and now I can handle the technology. My parents struggled, right? So it's exactly what happened at that point in time. But what is 5G? So what is the actual benefit, and what is the difference to 4G? So 5G can actually do everything that 4G can do, only better. So we talk about an increase of peak data rate from 1 gig to about 20 gig. Just to give you kind of an impression of what that means. Right now, a typical home fiber connection has 50 Mbps speed. Your typical mobile connection, maybe 5, maybe 10 Mbps speed. So we're talking here from very fast to even much faster. Latency is the next feature. So basically the time it takes a robot, for example, to respond to a software command will decrease from 10 milliseconds to 1 millisecond. And this is under very ideal conditions. So this is really maximum standard. Again, to give you some sort of relation, the human eye can typically spot the difference between 10 and 50 milliseconds. So a difference from 10 to 1 milliseconds will be barely perceivable by the human eye. Connection density. Right now, 4G can take about 10,000 devices or sensors or mobile phones per square kilometer. With 5G, we will be able to connect 1 billion devices. So right now in Bangkok, we have about 5,000 people living per square kilometer. That means every person in Bangkok right now can connect 2 phones at the same time. That includes also grandmas and babies, etc. So already quite a high connection density we have. Lastly, energy efficiency, I think a very important element of 5G. So we will see a huge increase in energy efficiency. Right now, if you connect an IoT sensor to a mobile network, typically the battery lasts maybe maximum a year. With 5G, that will increase tremendously, and that will have significant impact of how we deliver use cases. Mobility, and 4G can basically be connected at a speed of 350 kilometers per hour. So if you took a train somewhere in Europe, in Germany, in Japan, you will often notice that your mobile connection basically doesn't work, or it does work. So right now, a speed of 350 kilometers per hour, that's about the speed that's planned for the Thai high-speed rail. So 5G will basically be able to connect at a speed of over 500 kilometers per hour. And lastly, and that's I think most important for us mobile operators, spectral efficiency. So basically, what is the efficiency that we can use the airwaves that our network is running on? But right now we have the big problem that data consumption is increasing at about 40% every year. Every single year we see an increase of 40% of data going through our network. At the same time, customers are not willing to pay more for their mobile subscription. That means, how do we keep up with that? The answer, we hope, will be in part be 5G. So the question is not so much will 5G come, but what is the impact? So we know it will come simply because otherwise we cannot handle the amount of data and the efficiency that's required to do. Now, what does all this give us in terms of benefits? How do we translate this into value for businesses? And with 5G, I brought a chart. You can actually make many use cases happen. So from automotive to healthcare, manufacturing, you will see every presentation about 5G will tell you about a lot of interesting, very visionary use cases. An important point is many technologies or many use cases are possible on 5G, but for many, 5G is not strictly required. If you look, for example, at smart manufacturing, even today we see a lot of smart manufacturing applications happen. And the technology that's often used is simply Wi-Fi or fiber connection. So if you can connect very expensive piece of equipment with a power connection to a power grid, you will also be able to connect it with a fiber cable to the communication. For many use cases, 5G will not be strictly required, and we can actually deliver it today. Now, then there's a second group of use cases where we see we could do it today, but 5G will basically make it more efficient, will maybe enhance the performance. So the most prominent example that we see today is fixed wireless access. Fixed wireless, think of it as your home fiber connection delivered by a mobile network. So it's simply a replacement of your home fiber. We see that AT&T, Verizon right now in the US use that as the very first 5G use case. So today, TCC is doing this already on the 4G network. So 5G isn't technically a requirement, but it makes the business case much better. And now then we come to a group where 5G is strictly required. So here we are talking about use cases where we strictly need mobility. So we don't have a piece of machinery in the factory that's stationary, but we need something that's able to move around and that needs a mobile connection. We are talking about use cases that need very high bandwidth, and we talk about use cases that need very low latency. These use cases, however, are still in a very proof of concept stage, I would say, in many cases, at least on mobile, or in some areas still even R&D is required, or the 5G standards are not even finalized yet. So technologies such as network slicing, which is required for this, the standards are just being finalized by the standard commission. So, and these are use cases where we talk about business AR, MR, or the NFL example. So if you from Amazon, so if you basically want to deliver this experience live in a big stadium, you would need 5G connectivity, which everybody can relate to. That has recently been to a Ed Sheeran concert here in Thailand. So here the mobile network couldn't take any connections at all. So here 5G will hopefully bring some improvement. How big these use cases will be, nobody knows. Will it be Apple Watch big or Google Glass big, or will it be iPhone big? We don't know. But could also be that users don't really see benefit or value in it. This is what time will tell. Now, what will the 5G rollout look like? We won't see all of these benefits at once, but we will basically see 5G rollout in stages. Very likely is that we see fixed wireless first, so replacement of home fiber connections in very specific areas. And based on the back of this very specific area rollout, basically mobile broadband moving from 4G to 5G. Eventually, we will also see IoT moving to a 5G standard. Today, a lot is already possible on 4G. There is very little benefit of 5G unless we talk about low latency or extra security. So in the last one that we will see are all the low latency use cases. Here we need extra infrastructure that will be more expensive to deploy. We talk about edge computing, where we bring edge servers closer to the customer. So to develop these business cases will take more time. So the status of 5G in Thailand will often ask. So TCC is already preparing for 5G for a very long time. Even today, we are already deploying 5G technologies in our network. We don't do the fake 5G like AT&T, but what we actually see is a recent speed test on our 4G TDD network. So the left-hand side is our speed test, 227 megabit per second. The recent AT&T 5G speed test was below that. So we see actually our 4G networks in Thailand can already deliver a lot what 5G can deliver elsewhere. Now lastly, what is the path for Thailand for 5G? So three things we need. The first and foremost thing is spectrum, high, mid and low band. So just this week, the Thai government will allocate low band spectrum, very crucial for 5G. But the roadmap overall in the future is not really finalized, and spectrum prices in Thailand are very high. So we basically need a spectrum roadmap that is well defined and where the prices are manageable to maximize the benefit for the overall society. The second element is we as telcos also have to transform using existing 4G technologies to actually prepare for the new and upcoming use cases. As I said, our struggle is we need to provide more data at the same price. That means we are under a lot of pressure to develop new revenue streams and profit pools. That means we need to prepare today also to deliver value beyond connectivity. And the way we want to do this is together with partners. So we see many innovative partnerships coming up. We are partnering in the area of smart farming, for example, with fertilizer companies, with insurances. So partnerships that you didn't think of a couple of years back become now very, very crucial to really unleash the full value of 5G. Thank you very much for your attention.